I'm Eric Nasser with NewsShooter.com, and I'm at IBC 2019 at the Blackmagic booth, and I'm with Stuart. How's it going?
Yeah, really good, thank you.
So we saw on the live stream today with Grant that you have this new device here. This is like the ATEM Mini. Yeah. Talk to me about it.
Do you know, this is one of those products that when you start a project like this, it really kind of fills you with energy because it's an exciting product and an exciting market. You know, it's one of the things that we've been very proficient at over the last few years is really establishing our position within the broadcast space. And some of those high-end online broadcaster guys who are doing esports and doing all this really cool stuff are really kind of embracing what we've done with the ATEM range. But what we started to look at was this new generation of people that are doing live production. And what we felt was that SDI as a technology is something that really is only kind of common knowledge within that professional space. And you know, people are more familiar with things like HDMI when you start to look below that sort of high-end broadcast level within the online world. So we started to look at how could we actually make a switcher that had all of the functionality and feature set that could be aimed at that online broadcast space for the mass market, but at the same time be intuitive enough that could help people progress and evolve into eventually one day working up through our ATEM range. And that's where we came up with the ATEM Mini.
So the ATEM Mini looks pretty powerful. I mean, obviously you can switch cameras now, you have the HDMI. Is it possible to, say, switch video?
Yeah, so HDMI is obviously very common within, you know, all our TVs. It's within all our gaming PCs, computers, consoles. But also at the same time as well, a lot of the lower end cameras don't have the ability to put SDI out, so they're putting HDMI out. So what we've done with this switcher is we've put 4 HDMI inputs on there that are meant really for those types of devices. So if you're running a low-cost HDMI camera, if you're running a gaming console like an Xbox or a PlayStation, and if you're outputting to, say, a low-cost LCD screen or OLED screen, which is HDMI again, you really have that ability to connect all those things together. So those 4 HDMI inputs give you the opportunity for multiple input devices, but also then you've got a HDMI output, which can be used for effectively your master program out, or you can actually take that master program out and you can select input 1 and put a clean feed out through it as well. So just to kind of explain that a little bit more, what we see is that a lot of the gamer guys out there, you know, what they're doing is they're putting their picture-in-picture over the top of their game, but when they're actually gaming, they don't want to see their face on their screen whilst they're gaming. So what we want to do is we want to give them the option to take that clean feed from that PlayStation or that Xbox and send that back out with minimal latency back to the monitor so that they can actually see that without their face on the screen. But then I suppose the next question you'd think is then, well, how do you put your output out there? So the great thing is with this device is that we've also put a USB-C connection on it and an Ethernet connection on it. Now that USB-C connection means that you can take video over USB-C, and that would go into your laptop, whether it be a Mac or whether it be a PC, and then you would open up your streaming client, whether it be OBS, whether it be YouTube, whether it be Skype, and that would see it as effectively a web camera. So all of the switching is done sort of downstream, but then what would happen is that when you then want to actually go live with this as effectively a program out, you're doing that in effect through a web client or through a streaming client that sees that USB-C connection as effectively a master video.
Is it possible to use something like a HyperDeck or any kind of other video playback devices so you could do maybe like a talk show over B-roll, something like that? Yeah,
so one of the things that is really cool with this is the Ethernet on there gives us that control. So I guess there's 2 different elements to this. You've got the hardware switch, which is a small panel that's to my left, or you've then got the whole software control, which anybody who is an ATEM customer is very familiar with. That's where obviously your media pool lives, that's where all your configuration settings live. You have the ability to do all of your effective control via software. But what you can actually do is you can actually map all of those hardware devices like a HyperDeck through an IP address on that software and then control those over the Ethernet of this ATEM Mini. So through the software you can ultimately trigger all of those. You can set macros for those, and I think it's 4 HyperDecks at any one time that ultimately you can control through that ATEM Mini.
So the video could be queued. You basically hit the ATEM button, and it'll just start playing back.
Exactly that, yeah. And also with that software, you get other enhanced features as well. So as a preset within the hardware hardware device, you've got picture-in-picture, which would be picture-in-picture, top left, top right, bottom right. But within those software tools as well, you can actually go in and you can scale those, you can move those to wherever you want. So again, it's really about making this process intuitive so that for those people that take it out the box and start from day one, they have some presets, they have a familiarity in the way they work, but that software unlocks a whole load of new features.
Wow, very powerful. And the price and availability?
Yeah, so it's 289 euros to buy. So we tried to keep it at a price point that is applicable to most people. Our view on that was, aside from the switcher, there is other investment that needs to be made around cameras and around other devices. So we want to try and keep that, within a realm where anybody ultimately has accessibility to it. Availability of it, we're looking at end of October, early November, and our hope is that we can really start opening up that new market for us.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.